Welcome back to yet another episode of My Way podcast. My name is Alina Katri, and on today's episode, I have invited an expert to share her wisdom on women's embodiment, women's empowerment, and sexuality. Named by the New York's Weekly magazine as one of the top 20 female entrepreneurs to look out for in 2025, Kaisa Merelä is a trailblazer in women's empowerment. She's redefining modern sexuality education and feminine embodiment. Known for her innovative online programs and retreats, she has become a catalyst for women's growth, self-discovery, and empowerment. As women, we hold so much incredible power, yet we don't know enough how to actually use it. So I'm incredibly excited and honored for Kaisa to be here today. So let's dive in. Thank you so much for being here, Kaisa.
Thank you for inviting me.
I think that this is, for me, it feels like such a privilege, and I'm so honored to have you here because I moved to Finland 5.5 years ago. I don't know that well the kind of influencing scene in Finland. However, if there's one name that I've heard from different circles, from different women, then it has been Kaisa Merelä. So.
Oh, thank you. I love hearing that.
It's so nice, right? Because I feel like that speaks so much already of the work that you do and how like it has that really ripple effect, right? Because it really passes from woman to woman to woman. And even to newbies to a new country like myself, then
Thank you. That's
amazing.
amazing. Thanks for sharing.
So, I would like to actually start with the question of why is the work that you do important to you? Like, where did it all start?
Oh, this is such a hard question because I feel like it's a combination of like different things. Like I didn't have this one moment when I was like light bulb, like this is what I want to do. And then I started doing it and it was perfect from the beginning. I feel like my journey has been very much trial and error and just like, I'm maybe inclined to go towards that direction. Oh, that didn't work out. Maybe there. It's been like 10 years of entrepreneurship that has brought me to this point where I'm now. And yeah, there's been many things in that 10 years. But specifically to the women's empowerment, I feel like as a woman, I've always felt a little bit off living in our world, living in the patriarchy. And it took me some time to find the answers why I was feeling off. I feel like we don't get the proper education, first of all, at school when it comes to being a woman and sexuality and embodiment and feminine energy and everything, which makes us feel like we don't quite belong or it conditions us to kind of be small men, instead of being women. I've always felt a little bit off, and when I started finding the answers to why I was feeling off, it was such a powerful transformational process that I really wanted to share it with other women as well.
Mm-hmm. So, but you started as a Finnish blogger for wellness.
Yes, so I was a fitness food blogger. Mm-hmm. I started it when I was 17, and I was on my own fitness journey back then, and I started just doing these fitness recipes like pancakes and apple pies and stuff.
I love that.
And then I just needed a place to put all my recipes. So I was like, hey, maybe I'm going to start a blog. And I really did it just for myself as an archive to have all my recipes in one place. But then suddenly people started to find the blog and they were like trying out my recipes and then they were commenting on it and then they started following me on Instagram, and then they really wanted to know like who's the woman behind these recipes because it was anonymous. Like I didn't have my face there; it was just the recipes. And then they were like, "Who is this woman? Like, do a reveal. Who are you? We want to know more about you." And then I did the reveal, and after that, like it became like super popular.
How was it for you at that point? Because I know you were also doing theater, so was it easy for you to show your face online, or did it take some time?
I think the biggest part of it was because I'm from a fairly small city, and I lived there back then with my parents. I feel like the biggest part of me was to kind of come out of my blogging closet for my family and my friends and, you know, all that circle there. I feel like for many people, when they really want to start making their dreams happen, what stops them is like, what are my friends going to think, or what is my family going to think? And for me, that was like the hardest thing as well. And even though it was just like fitness recipes, it was not like later on I became like this sexfluencer. It wasn't even anything related to sex. I remember it felt embarrassing because it's like form of self-expression. So yeah, I feel embarrassed about it. But when I published my face and I came out and everyone in my school kind of know it, like she has the blog and like whatever. Then from that on, it was just like, it just got easier and easier and easier.
Mm-hmm. So just that initial kind of stepping over
the
comfort.
Yeah, kind of like rebranding myself. Like I'm not just this like ordinary girl who goes to school. I also have this like passion project on the internet.
Amazing. And then from that, so you're now already not only doing the recipes, you already are doing some, what did you do actually? Like, did you start doing recipes with your face or you already went into fitness part?
So first came fitness in my own life, then came the recipes, then came the fitness / recipe blog, then came the like me as a blogger, more like a lifestyle blog. And then came the theater when I went to study acting.
Okay, so there's a lot going on already at that age.
I told you, like, I didn't just I wasn't born and like I knew exactly what I'm gonna do with my life. It's been just like exploring a lot.
But that's amazing. This is the part that I feel like, especially at that age, usually it's very, you don't know yourself and you're meant to make such big choices in your life, you know, when you're 18, 20.
And the pressure we put on like young adults, it's so insane because you're not supposed to know. Like if you know exactly what you came here to do, the chances are that it's someone else's story. Like you need to, what's the word? Unfold. You need to let your own story unfold naturally. And maybe some people know straight away what they want to do and it serves them for the rest of their lives. But for me, it wasn't like that.
So then, how did you arrive at what you're doing now? Okay, I feel like one note to add maybe is that what I noticed when I was going through your page is that there's this kind of shift of the first. So your most kind of flagship program is the PSA, Powerful Sexual Aware.
Yeah.
But I feel like, at least from the outsider looking in, it felt like there were two parts of it, as in like at first it was more purely focused on sexual education, and then it kind of evolved even more, adding on energetics, etc. Is that how it was?
Well, kinda.
Okay.
So do you want me to explain PSA or explain how we got there?
Both ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, I was doing the blogging thing and then the whole world started to feel very superficial and I didn't want to, sell some protein bars anymore on internet. So I was like, I want something soulful, something deep. And for me, it was to become an actor. So I went to study acting, did it for 1 year. And yeah, it was I think one of the best years I've had in my life. It was so deeply satisfying for me, the self-expression part and the embodiment part. And there was just so many aspects to it that really felt like this is what I was born to do. The only problem being that actors don't really get paid well. And I feel like the unemployment rate is just way too intense for me. So I decided to pursue entrepreneurship after all. However, the things that I do these days, I feel like what I learned in the acting school is a huge part of what I do now with women, with my embodiment retreats and all the self-expression part and so forth. Then came the sex part of the sex era of Kaisa after the theater. I noticed that I'm so interested about sex and women's sexuality and shame and what holds us back, and why are we not talking about sex, and why are we not unlocking the true power of sex and, you know, sacred sexuality and sexual energy, and how we can use sexual energy to kind of like build our lives. And then during that journey, I went to study and become sex educator. And when I graduated from my sex educator school, I created Powerful Sexual Wear as my diploma work, which is online course for women for sexual empowerment. And yes, at the beginning, it was purely sex education because it was my diploma work. But because I've been doing it for 5 years now, the same program over and over again, it has evolved a lot, and it has become... It still has the sexual education part, but I feel like it's become a bit more holistic.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I still want to go a bit more back to the point of like in between. So you decide you want to study it. You decide you want to actually learn more. Was there any kind of specific point that or specific situation in your life that you were like, okay, now I want to learn more?
Yeah. So when I decided that acting is not it and I want to be an entrepreneur again, I restarted my blog actually. But now I changed the name and I changed the subject. So it was not fitness anymore, it was sex. And the name was just like my name. And then that blog as well became kind of like super popular, and all the magazines wanted to interview me, and TV wanted to interview me. And before I knew, I was kind of like being portrayed as a professional. And it was weird because I was just a girl writing her thoughts on internet. And then I was being just like interviewed as a, you know, like almost like titled as like someone who should know about these things. So I started feeling like maybe it's good that I actually have some kind of education around this, because clearly I'm so authoritative that people just believe everything I say, you know, because I've always been the type of person that when I say things, I say them very like, this is how it is, even though my inner experience might be like, I think this may be it, but it's just like how I communicate, and maybe the theater school have also helped with that. So yeah, I went to the school because I was kind of already living the life of being a sex educator. I just didn't have the tools and the knowledge and everything, so that's why I went there.
Did you get any new information there?
Yeah,
It
totally.
still went,
Yeah, it shaped me a lot, school.
Incredible. So now, what is, if we are looking at it from a completely new for someone who doesn't know that much about it at all, what is sexuality after all?
Oh, I love this question. So I feel like we're used to shrinking sexuality purely to sex, but sex is how sexuality is expressed. So sexuality is who we are, and sex is what we do. So I feel like sexuality it touches everything in us. It's our core being and our core identity, and it affects how we walk, how we talk, how we speak, how we, you know, go for life. I feel like sexual energy is life force energy, and the more tapped in we are into our sexuality, the more we have just creative energy in our lives to use, and energy in general. Yeah.
The creative energy, the sexuality, what was the point that usually what you see from your course, for instance, and people and women who come to you, what is usually one or three the most pivoting points for them, or like information that they find out that is just like, wow, I didn't know this?
Yeah. I feel it's, for many women, letting go of the good girl syndrome is the biggest part, because we've been so conditioned to just behave ourselves and be nice and don't make a scene and don't stand up for yourself, and just kind of like ignore your boundaries and swallow your words. And when you start owning your sexuality, the good girl instantly gets healed. I don't know if that's the right word, but anyway, like it's so interesting how sexuality is always connected to the woman's unapologeticness, always. And the more we are tapped into our sexual energy and more shame-free we are in our sexuality, the more we start taking space, the more we start stating our boundaries, the more we start speaking our truth. So for many women, just letting go of that. You can also talk about the Madonna whore dichotomy. And many women come into my course as a Madonna archetype, you know, just like good mother, good sister, good spouse, behaving well, taking care of the home. And then they found their whore side. And for a woman, you should have both of them integrated in you because they're like opposing archetypes, but they need to work together in a way. So it's not like the other archetype is bad and the other is good. It's like we need them both. It's kind of like a light feminine and dark feminine quality. So we need them both to be integrated. So yeah, when they claim their whore archetype and they maybe they go through a phase where they go a little bit overboard with that archetype. Maybe they start to explore their sexuality, yeah, in a way that maybe is not the healthiest for them in the long run, or they may want to start exploring maybe dressing a bit differently, or you know, I don't know. Sometimes women tap into their also chaotic feminine energy. Of I don't know some people call it the villain era. And I feel like it's really good for women to tap into that as well, because it balances the good girl. And then when you have tapped into that long enough, it gets integrated and you're balanced.
What would you say is something that someone can start with? Any practices or something to uncover that part of themselves?
Yeah, well, I feel like whatever you feel shame towards within yourself, that's your task. Or whatever you feel fear towards, that's your task. I feel like Carl Jung said, where the fear is, there your task is. So we don't have these fears and these limitations and this shame for no reason. It's actually us. It's inviting us to dive deeper in it. And when we face it and we go to the other side, we get much more space within ourselves.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like if you don't own the shadow owns you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask, what was it for you, the shadow part?
Ooh. That's such an interesting question. I feel like I've been working, especially within the last year, a lot with my shadows and different shadows. Maybe when it came to sexuality, it was actually... I never felt like I was embodying the Madonna. I was maybe a bit on the whore side within those two archetypes. And for me, the journey from very liberated sexuality to the more sacred sexuality, to more saying no, to celibacy, to just like honoring my body, realizing the power that my body holds. I feel like my journey has been like the opposite.
Mm-hmm. But in your course, when women come, do you notice a specific pattern? Is there more on one archetype or the other?
Yeah, I would say maybe 70% are on the Madonna archetype, and maybe 30% are, or maybe, I don't know, maybe 85-15.
That's interesting, because I feel like probably if you don't own that part of you, it might be also a bit triggering to be in the same environment with someone who does own that part of themselves.
Yeah, and I feel like it's actually interesting because powerful sexual wear is marketed towards the women who need the the fire and the power and the do you want to feel empowered? And those women who already feel empowered, even though it might be unhealthy for them, they don't feel pulled towards powerful sexual wear because they feel like they already, got it. Even though they might have some work around to do, with setting boundaries and actually owning their sexuality instead of just performing the sexuality. So, I mean, that may be part of it why certain women just feel drawn to PSA more than others.
Right, and then it also serves as just the mirror effect for women, other women. And I think that you have plenty of posts. I have them here, but but you have plenty of beautiful posts of how womanhood is and how we, all of us, serve as a mirror to each other.
Yeah.
So can you talk maybe about womanhood in general? How was the journey for you?
Well, I feel like for some reason my childhood conditioned me to be in charge and know what I'm doing and be able to do everything alone and just be a lot in my masculine energy. So for me, the journey has been softening into neediness, softening into just saying that I can't do this alone. I don't want to do this alone. I don't have the energy to do this alone. I don't have the capabilities of doing this alone. And I feel like it's maybe a syndrome in Finland in general that we're very much like, we have this pärjäämiskulttuuri, which I don't quite know how to put in English, but you know, we have to survive and we have to do it alone and you can't ask help. And that is with men, but also with women. And it's always so funny when I visit US a lot and whenever I'm there, and even like when I trip on a stairs, people are like, oh my God, did you hurt yourself? And it was just literally nothing. And they're like, oh my God, like, are you okay? And then I came Finland in January from US and it was slippery because it was winter. And I properly fell like on my back. And everyone just like speeded like over me. Like they didn't even want to look at me. No one asked if I'm even alive, if I hurt myself. They were just like so embarrassed that someone tripped over that they just wanted to, exit the situation. And that's exactly the difference between, I would say, US and Finland in general. Like here you have to do everything alone. You have to be strong enough. You cannot rely on people. And if you get hurt or something, don't show it. If you have any, negative emotions or hardship, don't show it. So that was very, very strong in me. And it took me, I don't know, maybe 27 years to learn to let go of it. And now I'm needy and I'm so happy to be needy. And that is actually the essence of feminine energy. We're not here to produce. We're not here to thrive. We're not here to succeed. We're here to receive. We're here to be held. We're here to be supported. And through the support of our spouses, of our friends, of our community, of our family, that's where we get to thrive. And yeah.
In our own way.
Yeah.
It's also beautiful because when I was looking at your numbers from numerology perspective, and you're born on the 31st, so that is the number 4. And what this means is that kind of the first mission in your life, because 4 in itself, it's natural to become very, it's a masculine energy. So it comes very natural to kind of pursue the goals in that way. So it's also very interesting to note that the first part of your life, you wear very much into that role. And the mission there is to really unravel this feminine side, which you beautifully have done.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, I feel like that's been the theme of my life so far. Totally.
And there you are now.
Yeah, I mean, we're never ready, but
That's
we're
true.
always on the way. But I feel like it's so rewarding when you get past some really big patterns, like huge patterns, and then you get to the other side and you're like, wow, this is who I truly am. Like I was conditioned to be something that I'm not, and now I get to live as my true self. It's the best.
It's empowering, and it's empowering that you're doing it, so it serves as permission for other women to follow that path.
Yeah.
I'm interested in your way of how you currently, or perhaps once you got the sexual education, yes, so you're already performing in that space. The feminine energy part, did it go together, this kind of unraveling? No.
Yeah.
We want to hear.
If anything,
Yeah.
I feel like the sexual education made me more masculine. It made me more, how could I say this? Well, I don't find the words, but however, for me, the feminine part came with depression and burnout. So I had to really kind of stumble on my power and on my what I thought I wanted, who I thought I was, and life really had to come and interrupt everything I was doing and just like put me deep into my own psyche, into darkness. And from there, when I just couldn't do anymore what I was doing before, I really had to ask myself who the fuck I am, first of all. Like, who the fuck I am, why did I come here, what I'm here for, and then how is my energy meant to be used in this life? Like, if that doesn't work anymore, what's the new direction? And that's when I started psychotherapy, which was like the best decisions ever. And from there, it was Jungian psychotherapy. So if people who don't know, Jungian is a, what's the word? It's psychotherapy where you also take the spiritual side of life
into consideration.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was perfect choice for me. And yeah, from there I found the feminine.
So this goes together, so it doesn't go together with the sexual education journey, but it goes together with your spiritual journey.
Yeah, 100%. And my psychological and my just mental health journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I assume it wasn't that easy at first.
No, not at all. And I was fighting against it a lot. And life is funny because as long as you keep fighting against something that life is kind of like giving you on a silver platter, if you keep fighting, the life will next. It doesn't come on a silver platter anymore. It comes with harsher lessons. And then it comes with a whip, and then it comes with a crash, and then you can keep fighting, but at some point you're just gonna run out of energy, and you have to submit to life. You have to submit to even God. I speak nowadays, and yeah, from there when you're just laying on the ground in the ashes, just resting in the nothingness, and you feel like you're gonna die, and you have lost everything, and you have you have lost everything. From there, you can be reborn as a new person, and it can be a long process.
What was happening in your life during that process? As in, you already had the course going on, right? So
Yeah,
there were also people probably depending on you.
Yeah. I had like a business running and people I've hired, and like my work was demanding a lot from me. And then I have to kind of take everything down. Like I have to make more space in my life because I couldn't. I have to lay people off and just like, I took the volume down, not serve so many clients anymore. And yeah, that had financial impact. It had impact on like just my daily schedule, and even like losing followers because of it, because I'm not that strong, confident, reliable, masculine Kaisa anymore. So I think I've lost like 8,000 followers since then. Like my journey to feminine has been reflected on like how popular I am, and that's also one part that I have to make peace with. Like, am I choosing the outer acceptance, or am I choosing the inner peace and the healing? So yeah, what was going on in my life? I was in a relationship back then, and maybe I feel like the relationship even helped me to get into the feminine, because I was in a way being held. Because when you're a single and you're a woman, you kind of have to be the masculine and the feminine at the same time. You have to be the man for yourself and provide for yourself, and make money to get and everything. So it's a lot to master. as a woman to be single. It's honestly, it's quite a task. I believe that we are meant to be in a partnership, men and women. Anyway, so because I had a man's presence to kind of hold me, I was able to go there, like really go there, and surrender.
Wow.
It's getting deep, girl.
It's a lot. It really is a lot, because I'm just trying to imagine how it all must have felt for you to go through it all. And I'm so happy to hear that you had that partner with you at that time, so you weren't, sort of alone in all of it. So but usually when you burn to the ashes, you also rise. Mm-hmm. So what was
always
that rise?
And that's what I want to say to people, like, if you're having hard time, don't give up, because there'll always be the time when you rise again, and you will be happy again, and you will love again, and you will be even more happier than you were. Like, I wasn't able to feel this amount of happiness before that, because our ability to go into the darkness and our ability to feel sadness and anger and all those like murky dark emotions is in straight relation to our ability to experience bliss and magic and happiness and ecstasy. So the deeper you go to the darkness, the higher you will rise to the light afterwards. What was your question?
But no, it's truly, and I feel like that it all comes into so many emotions, and same with love as well, right? The deeper the love, that just you're unlocking all the time, and just life is so funny in that way, that you're all the time just unlocking new levels. I was talking with my hypnotherapist that like there is this session after a year that we're doing, and suddenly I'm just crying in the session, and I'm telling her, like, I thought that we already had gone through this. How is this even still here? And that it's really like, it's not that things go away. They don't go away. They don't disappear. We're not trying to get rid of them. It's just getting kind of seeing them, feeling
like
them.
Learning to live with them. And then they become part of you, and it's not something you just like push away or you abandon within yourself. Like, that's what integration means. Like, we are born with the aspects of ourselves that we are, and that's a fact, and we can't change that. The only thing we can do is to try to accept all that we are, the shadow, the murky stuff, the stuff we don't want to admit, and just that's what integration is all about. And then you can live at peace with yourself. And sometimes the old pain comes up, and then you gotta cry again.
Again.
and again and again.
And embodiment in general is a very big part of what you do.
Yes, and that also started after my depression, because I realized that I have lived my whole life in my head. I have made all the decisions from my head, and that had also resulted in the depression, because the life I'd built was created from my head, from my masculine, from my this is what I want, this is what I think I want, this should be cool, this is what everyone wants, this very like ego type of way. So when I dropped into my body, I dropped into the feminine, and I realized like there's so much wisdom in our bodies, and our bodies really know the way for us, I feel, because the body never lies. Like, if someone asks you to do something and you feel this in your body, like, you may say like, yeah, sure, it sounds very good, I'll do it. But if your body goes like this, it truly means you don't want to do it. Because our body represents our subconscious. So, embodiment is huge.
How can someone start noticing what's happening in their body if they have the same as you beforehand lived in their head the whole life?
Yeah. Well, I love to start my mornings whenever I have time and energy with the embodiment practice. So basically, you can just think... you can think about it as a way to spend time with your body. You can just put maybe, 10 minutes in a timer and just be with your body. And some people like to just like sit and close their eyes and like feel into the body, like what sensations are there present, what emotions maybe are there present, and just like observe. You don't have to try to change it, just become aware of it. And when you do this repeatedly on every morning, you start to create a relationship with your body, because you're basically saying to your body every morning, like, I hear you, I'm here for you, I don't judge you, I don't ask you to be any different than you are, I'm just here witnessing you, hearing you. And then the body doesn't have to scream anymore, because sometimes, like, when we get these weird symptoms, it's our body has been whispering for a long time, and then it's has to begin screaming because we don't listen. So when we actually start listening to our body, you can imagine your body going like, oh, finally, like, I've been waiting for so many years for you to pay attention to me. So yeah, it can be just like sitting still, kind of scanning through your body. What am I feeling? And that in the long run results in a better connection with your body. And then you start feeling how your body communicates to you all the time. Like right here, when I'm now with you, I can feel like my body like sending me all kinds of signals. Another one that I like to do is a movement practice. So you can also do this in the morning or whenever is best time for you. And you can put some music or just be in complete silence and just close your eyes. And this might sound abstract for some who have not worked with their bodies before, but it's basically just like moving your body in a way that feels good to you. You can call it intuitive movement or authentic movement, but it's just like really like, don't try to think about it as a yoga or Pilates or dance or anything. Like, we have this kind of words for different positions, but what if there were like some weird positions, and you know you can get very creative how your body wants to express itself in that moment.
Do you do themselves yourself?
Like,
yeah.
I have to. Like, if I don't, yeah.
So it's a kind of daily practice that you do.
Yeah, it's something. I feel like whenever, I'm not perfect. No one, like, if I'm here saying like I do this every morning, I might be like, but whenever I feel like, for me it comes like when I notice that I'm stressed or I lack clarity or I lack peace or I feel off, then I know that I haven't been doing those practices for a little while, and then I start doing them. So in an ideal world, I would do them every day, and I would feel very connected to my body every day. But our lives get just like...
You never know. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And you also host retreats. This just popped into my mind because of this embodiment that you just embodiment exercises. But in the retreat, from what I saw, you do it in archetypes. Yes. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes. So in the retreats, I have combined embodiment practices with archetypal work. And archetypal work is very close to my heart because I went through the Jungian psychotherapy, and Jung basically came up with archetypes. That's why we talk about archetypes, because he was the one who introduced them to us. And archetypes are basically these like stories or images or symbols within our unconsciousness. So you can talk about the collective unconsciousness, which is unconsciousness that connects all the people to each other. And so embodiment and archetypes is basically that through embodiment practices, we find your subconscious archetypes, like within yourself. We all have these archetypes within us, but we may not be so connected to them. And I feel like everyone has their like leading archetypes in this life that they were born into. And then they have the suppressed archetypes that they just don't want to see in themselves. So the shadow work also comes in play when we unlock these hidden archetypes within ourselves.
What are the archetypes that you usually go through?
So I have level 1 and level 2 currently on the retreat. On level 1, we work with seductress archetype, wild woman, mother, and mystic. On level 2, we work with sex priestess, queen,
I'm just now also trying to go through them. Maiden.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How did you know?
I know the women archetypes, so I haven't been to the retreat yet because they're in Finnish. If they were in English, I would love, love, love to come.
Sex priestess, maiden, queen, and oracle. Sorry, because I've only run the level 2 once.
Okay, but still, it's such an interesting archetypes and this kind of idea of how many different parts of you in a woman.
Yeah, and we have the spiritual side, and we have the sexual side, and we have the nurturing side, and we have the innocent side, and we have the like queen in us. We have all of those aspects within us, and I think it's a shame that we feel like we have to kind of like choose one role or one identity in this life. Like it doesn't make any sense because we're so multifaceted, and I feel like you're really abandoning a lot of potential to experience bliss and love and ecstasy in this life if you have to kind of like choose one box and stay in it.
Why do you think that is, that we stick to one usually?
Well, I feel like it's the lack of maybe the work that we should be doing, but no one has taught us how to do. And even like when we're kids, we learn that some behaviors get the love of our parents and others don't. So we start to push some archetypes or some sides or some needs or some desires down in order to get the love from our parents. So yeah, that's how shadow is born, because all the parts that we have pushed below the surface when we were kids unconsciously to get the love from our parents.
This is very interesting because if we tie back to what we were talking at the beginning of the episode of the Madonna and whore.
Yeah.
So then in this case, Madonna, pretty clear, right? The good girl, this was the behavior that was accepted and even celebrated. What about the whore archetype? How does it usually evolve for women?
You mean when they discover it for the first time, or?
I mean, from the perspective of that we were just talking, that we usually stick to one archetype, one identity, because it was celebrated and accepted when we were growing up. For Madonna, it's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
How does the whore archetype evolve?
Ooh, well, that's interesting. So we also have to talk about safety. So whenever a child or an adult feels like something isn't safe, they kind of resent it. So sometimes the logical mind doesn't even make any sense what feels safe to us and what doesn't. You know, we see it from people who are in toxic relationship. It feels safe to us, and something doesn't feel safe. So I feel like in my case, I had always felt like being the good girl or being the girl that kind of like being a normal girl, being a very ordinary girl who did like everyone else did and just kind of followed the crowd. I feel like it was unsafe for me. And for me, in order to feel safe was to be extraordinary and to do different stuff. And I'm also triple Aquarius. So for me, the rebel stuff has always felt safer. And I feel like, a big part of my journey has also been just like coming back to the ordinary and accepting the ordinary sides in myself as well. So, for some people, the whore might feel safer than the Madonna. Maybe they have had a mother who has sacrificed their whole life being the Madonna, and the mother is unhappy, and they see like, okay, if I am Madonna, this is where I'm gonna end up. It doesn't feel safe. It's not safe. I rather choose this other path.
Even when it's not a conscious choice.
Yeah, exactly. Everything about this is subconscious, unconscious.
Okay, super interesting.
Yeah.
So now back to the archetypes and the retreats. I am so curious. What are maybe, like, obviously I understand that going through all of them might take some time, but maybe which one is the most interesting and curious for yourself right now?
Ooh, right now. Well, it's so hard to pick a favorite because I love them all, and they all have such vital messages and power to give us. But I gotta say, I'm very drawn into the sex priestess archetype. I've been for some years now, and I feel like there's something very true to my soul about combining the spiritual and sexual side, because that's basically what sex priestess is. Like, there's the word priest and sex, and usually we don't see those two worlds come together. And it's funny how church has gone above and beyond to try to shame sexuality, even though sexuality is the way to God. So it has been a form of control and manipulation to try to distract people from their sexuality, because when we're distracted from our sexuality and disconnected from our sexuality, we're disconnected from God.
And this is, yes, when I was going through your blog, through your Instagram, I was getting so much knowledge from the information. And even the simplest part, I truly, like the virginity myth, for me personally, I had to ask my girlfriends, like, hey, girls, did you know? Because when you think about the situation of it all, it was like, okay, this is actually like, why is this happening? But then again, I feel like, at least for me personally, I never questioned it. Yeah. It was just something, I have no idea where I heard, but I never even had like this split second where like, wait, why is that? Is this actually a fact?
Yeah, it's been a form of control, and it's total bullshit. Just so everyone knows what we're talking about. Exactly. Like, virginity is a myth. There's no such thing as a virgin girl or non-virgin. Like, there's no scientific proof to it. Like, you cannot just examine a woman and know if they've had penetrative sex or not.
What are some other myths that you have discovered, or like, what are the kind of other truths that you feel like every woman should know but they don't know often?
Well, I think we have been told the story of this adventurous man who wants to fuck multiple women, and then we have this loyal wife who just wants to stay home and be jealous of the man who has multiple lovers across the globe. And actually, that's also from an evolutionary perspective, total bullshit. So women are actually a lot more sexually explorative than men. Women lose their interest in monogamous relationship faster than the man. They need more variety than men do, and actually female pleasure is built on to have multiple lovers, whereas male pleasure is built on to only having like one person to have sex with. So women have, we have 2 nipples, then we have clitoris, then we have vagina, we have anal, we have so many, like, there's a lot to handle for one man. Like, men only have 2 hands. And there's so many like places in a woman that can be touched and then can be pleasurable. And also like how our sexual pleasure was developed was actually in sexual orgies that were like one woman, multiple men orgies.
See, yes, they don't tell that.
Yeah, they don't tell that. And to go from there to this reality where there are some cultures where men have multiple wives, it doesn't make scientific sense at all.
So why do you think that all happened?
Well, it was form of control, because at some point the men started to be afraid of female sexuality. At some point, maybe they felt like they were not enough for a woman, and this is maybe one of the core fears in men, that I'm not enough. Back in the days when we were like animals, maybe men felt like they're not enough, like I can never satisfy this woman. Because women are insatiable sexually, and men can be satiated sexually, women cannot. So for how women women's bodies and women's pleasure work, the first orgasm is a gateway to the next one, and that is a bigger gateway to the next one, and there really is no end to it. And women can spend hours in orgasms, and men are just one-timers.
Sorry.
So yeah, maybe at some point men felt like in a monogamous relationship, like I cannot. I can't be enough for this woman sexually, just me. And then they maybe wanted to begin controlling the woman and the woman's body and, coming up with different myths to control women.
Yeah, and church has a very big kind of impact on it all.
Yes, church was the main institute in this.
Mm-hmm. Now, if the woman... So let's say they're listening now, they're like, okay, yes, I want to now explore my sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
But because there's still such stigma around, right? Even when it comes to, for instance, social media.
Yeah.
Where does one start? What's the best way to release probably the shame?
Yeah. I feel like when it comes to sexuality, the more sexual pleasure we're able to feel, the more we get liberated in our lives in general, because it's a bodily experience. Like, if I think about like deep pleasure or even like life-changing orgasms, they're literally life-changing, meaning that after that experience, I'm a different person. Like, I walk differently, I talk differently. So I would maybe focus on sexual pleasure, like focus on your body. And from there, it may become, easier to also develop the other areas of sexuality as well.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe get some toys or explore your pleasure in a way that you haven't before. Whatever feels inspiring to you.
Okay. So we note this down, yes?
Yes.
Start enjoying your sexuality, more pleasure in your life.
Yeah. And that's also something that you kind of, because we're all busy and sometimes we kind of treat sexuality as a thing on a to-do list. Like it's something, like partners maybe treat sex as just a one chore more to the day. And when you stop treating it as something to get done or something that what is the word? Anyway,
It's like
yeah. And you really tap into the pleasure part of it. You don't even try to reach an orgasm. You don't even try to get anywhere in the sex, whether you're having it alone or with a partner. You just focus on the pleasure. Just focus on the moment, and wherever the moment leads, like maybe with your partner, sometimes it doesn't even lead to sex, but you are there and you're present for each other and you're like seeing where is this moment taking us, what do we feel like doing, and then you don't rush into the penetration or rush into the sex, but just like stay very sensitive to the energies and to the bodies. I feel like that's the best way to unlock the most transformative sexual experiences, like tantric style.
Okay. What about any other situations in life? Where can we add more pleasure?
Oh, I love that we came to this. My favorite subject. So yeah, I feel like especially for women, pleasure shouldn't be something that you just like add to your life as a seasoning. It should be the foundation. Everything should be built on pleasure.
This we need to quote here.
Yeah. Yeah, because women and women's bodies and women's psyche automatically looks for pleasure. So the more we restrict ourselves, even with the fitness, like we have this certain diet and we have this like training schedule, and then we have to get this thing, those women are very deprived of pleasure. Like they're lacking pleasure so hard that usually the pleasure sneaks in an unconscious way. Like maybe they start binge eating, or maybe they develop like, I don't know, phone addiction or Netflix addiction or something. The pleasure wants to come into the woman's life, and if it's not there consciously, it will come there unconsciously, maybe in a form that it's not even that pleasurable, like binge eating. It's not pleasurable. It's really not. So when we build our life on pleasure, we don't, like, our subconscious kind of lets us go. It's like, okay, like, we're being taken care of, we don't have to interfere. And then to that life you can add like the seasoning of discipline, or like, I don't know, your fitness routine, or whatever, however you want to add, how much ever you want to add that. And I feel like for me, when I've just completely let go of the discipline and just start living based on pleasure, I feel like everything gets done so much more easily and with just so much more naturally. Like, I don't even need the discipline, because when I'm being filled with pleasure, I naturally want to do things that are important to me. So I don't have to make myself do stuff or be very rigid about myself. I'm very loving with myself, and if I don't want to do anything, I don't do anything. I don't force myself to do anything. If anything, I just give myself more pleasure, and then I know that I will naturally start creating or doing stuff or getting shit done. And I know this is a very radical way of living, but I am a radical woman.
I love this so much. Yes, because I feel like it's very hard for a woman to think of pleasure as the way to live.
And every woman needs a partner who deeply knows that sex is all about giving the woman pleasure. It's not about the man's pleasure at all, because the man's pleasure will come from the woman's pleasure. So the more your woman enjoys sex, to all the men out there, the more she wants to have sex with you. And then suddenly you have the woman who wants to have sex with you every day, every morning, every night. She wants to give you blowjobs. She wants to be like, she's turned on, she wants you. And every man wants their woman to behave like that. But you cannot force a woman to behave like that, or you cannot manipulate the woman to behave like that. Women are like flowers, like we need to give them time and love so that they bloom, and when they bloom, we get to enjoy them. So sex should always be focused on the woman's pleasure.
You also had another course called Salon, Queen Salon. Yeah, I believe it's not anymore available.
So this spring was the first spring that I decided not to run it, because I have some other projects that I was committed to. But yeah, it's usually every spring
that you had it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that was more than focused, as I understood, on relationships.
Yes, dating. Feminine, masculine, energetics.
And also manifestation.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you about this, because there's a lot of coaches online that right now whose main topic is manifestation. Mm-hmm. Whereas for you, when I was going through your post, I didn't see that much specifically on manifestation. So I was really curious, what is your take on that?
So manifestation is real, meaning that we get what we vibrate, we get what we feel. But why I don't want to talk about manifestation so much is like, I feel like the way people talk about it is actually causing more harm and more let's say, manifesting what we don't want to manifest to people, that it is doing the good. So the problem is that manifestation is, the way people speak about it, it's happening in your head. It's like, just think these thoughts and just like force your mind to go there. And I think we can never ignore the body. So you can try to kind of like, it's living in your head. So I think I speak a lot about manifestation, but I don't call it manifestation. So when we get our body on the same page with our mind, and our body, we drop into our body, which is how we manifest. Like, body is what we manifest, because we can think about the mansion, we can think about the Porsche, and we can think about the man. But if we are not there somatically, if we're not there on our nervous system level, we're never gonna get those. No matter how much we write the manifestation letters or do the practices, it's just like you're distracting yourself from your current truth, which is your body, from your nervous system, for your subconscious. And our subconscious is actually what manifests. So that is like 96% of our potential of our consciousness is subconscious. So when we do this conscious manifestation techniques, we're trying to attack the 4%, whereas when we go into body, we're attacking the 96%. Attacking. Yeah. So for me, the best way to manifest, the best way to have your dreams come true is embodiment practices, is coming to the body and kind of like investigating what are you currently manifesting. That is found within your body. Like if you drop, when I told about the morning practice that you can just close your eyes and come into your body, that is exactly what you're currently manifesting, because your body is the one that vibrates, not your thoughts, not your head. So yeah, when you come to your body, if you feel like stiffness, if you feel pain, if you feel sadness, that is what is coming into your life.
So you're following the emotions that you feel in the body rather than some predefined term of something that you want to achieve.
Yeah, I feel like the problem with manifestation is that we're trying to distract ourselves from our current reality, distract ourselves from our body and from our real emotions. It's spiritual bypassing. We're just trying to be somewhere we're not. And the more we do it, the more we disconnect from our truth, from our body, from this moment. And yeah, people may have energy to do it some months, some years, but at some points we need to return to our body. Because our body keeps just screaming if we don't. And from there, of course, we can, manifest mansions in Hollywood Hills, and we can do all those stuff. But it happens in collaboration with the body, never with the mind.
Beautiful. Because it's also, I feel like, part of the manifestation culture that you were just referring to has also to do with control.
Yes.
Trying so much to control where you're
God.
going.
I love that you brought that up, because I feel like I have managed to manifest in this life some stuff that I thought I wanted. And then when I get it, I'm like, whoa. And then when I let go and just let God give me what is supposed to be giving to me, I'm like, this is so much better. Like, I would have never thought myself to ask for this, but now that it's here, it's perfect for me. So yeah, I feel like we as humans are so flawed. We're so small. Then when we try to think what we want, I feel like the God's plan is always bigger. It's always better. It's always more aligned for us. So in this sense, manifesting is really about control. It's about masculine energy. It's about knowing. It's about like thinking that you know better than God and trying to kind of interfere with life instead of surrendering to life and letting life come to you.
Was it easy for you to surrender?
No. No, not at all.
Did it happen more once you started the embodiment practices, or that even came after?
So it was very painful at first, because when I started surrendering, God started just erasing stuff from my life. Like, okay, we take your career away. Okay, we take your mental health away. Okay, we take this relationship away. We take, your sanity away. We take you're homeless now. It was just a lot. This is my recent transformation that I haven't really even speak up about. And after he had ripped everything away from me, that's when the blessings started coming. So it had to be a clean slate at first, so that the good stuff could flow in.
Recent, that meaning when?
Meaning last 2 years.
Okay. So from the numerology perspective, that was 12th and 13th year. So in tarot, 13th is represented by death.
Yeah, makes sense.
So death and rebirth.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
And now you're in your 14th year, which is it's the temperance. So balance, harmony, beauty, travel, new surroundings. It's also a very transformative year, not in sense of rebirth, but more in just completely new path in your life.
Yeah,
new vision.
Makes sense. That's exactly what it's been.
what it's been yet.
Yeah.
I am so sorry to disturb you, but I had to share this with you. 26th to 27th of April, at the most luxurious hotel in Helsinki, the Maria Hotel, we'll be organizing a 2-day event. So if you're interested in actually finding out what your date of birth tells you about you, if you're interested in spending an amazing quality time with like-minded women, doing Pilates, sound healing, learning more about yourself, then check the link below because I would love, love, love to see you there. Like, why did you decide to start first sharing with Finnish audience?
Well, I feel like because the blog I started when I was 17 was in Finnish. So I've started to build my audience ever since. So basically when I launched my sex blog, I already had Finnish audience. So if the 17-year-old me would have, because I remember I was thinking, should I do this in English or Finnish? And I chose Finnish. Mm-hmm. If she would have chosen English, my whole career would have been in English. But she chose Finnish, so I already had a very strong Finnish audience. So I just kept delivering to them, which kind of makes the international jump difficult in a way because I have such strong community in Finland and I love my clients and they're like they're not even clients. I feel like they're like soulmates to me. Like whenever I see them on the streets, they just like come crying and hugging me and I feel very motherly energy towards them and I truly and deeply love them from the bottom. Like my whole body is vibrating even just like thinking about them. It's just so special what I have with them. So yeah, creating that like all over again with the new some it's a lot. Mm-hmm. So
I could only imagine.
yeah.
But sounds like a very, very exciting journey ahead for you.
Yeah, it is.
So I cannot wait to see where it's gonna lead you. Oh. I will definitely be following along the journey because, yeah, as I said, I am super excited to see it in English. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't speak Finnish, so
yeah, I'm so happy to hear that. Thanks for saying that.
I think you'll do amazing, truly. As I said to you, right? Like the ripple effect that you're creating it's powerful. I think it's the information every woman needs to hear, needs to know how to incorporate in their lives. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
But before we wrap up, I still have a few more questions that I wanted to ask you. Mm-hmm. Let's put it into 3 maybe. So first of all, for women who want to follow their dreams, who want to pursue their passions but are too afraid to do so. I know we already covered quite a lot of tips and tools and tricks, but what would be the one thing that you would like them to take the most away from this conversation that we had?
I feel like you cannot live your life thinking that you're gonna know how it's gonna unfold. And what I mean by this, it's that you have to do things even when you're not sure. And you have to do things when you're kind of like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but let's try this. And for me, the play aspect and the aspect that I get to try, I get to fail, I get to, like, nothing in this life is so serious, actually. We're just here on a spinning
rock.
Yeah, on a spinning rock. No one knows why we're here. Like, when you start to think about it, when you zoom out, it's kind of ridiculous and weird what's going on here. And sometimes we pretend like this is very serious and everyone knows what we're doing here, but we really don't. So just try to not take yourself or your dreams or your reality so seriously and maybe start playing with life a little bit. And I feel like life becomes a really nice game when you learn to play it without unnecessary fear. Like, I don't say be fearless because fear is like part of who we are and we never get rid of it, but just like, yeah, maybe it takes some edge off just to kind of zoom out. And then one motivation that has always really helped me is death. So we're all gonna die at some point. And until that, we have some time on our hands. So whenever I feel like, should I do something or should I not, I'm thinking about myself dying. or I'm thinking about myself dead already. And from that point of view, you kind of wish you did. You wish you went for it. So yeah, I think about death a lot, like daily, because it's a big inspiration for me to really go for the things that matter to me in the long run and in the context of this incarnation.
It's interesting because we usually think of delusions as something that is kind of not logical or doesn't make sense, but then it's actually delusional to live so logically when we are about to die at some point.
It is. It is.
So death, thinking about death, that's right.
There's nothing to lose in this life, honestly. Nothing. So, yeah, maybe as long as you think you have something to lose, you're more fearful about making big steps or moves. But maybe sometimes we even have to lose everything to realize like there really is nothing to lose. And then we can experience new kind of freedom.
Mm-hmm. I think I would like to leave it at this because this was so beautifully put.
Let's do so.
Thank you so much, Kaisa,
Thank you so much.
for
This
being
was an
here.
amazing interview. I feel like this is the best I've been in years.
Oh my God.
Like you're you're very you've done your research.
That's the part I love.
Oh.
And especially for you, it was so interesting because it was very hard to pinpoint that one part of you or something.
I know.
It's a lot. Just so many different aspects. And I was telling to my sister-in-law that introduced me to your profile back those 5 years ago, how interesting, because I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.